Hello and welcome to the 2009 Logical Fallacy and Straw Man Awards. Awarded to Potholer54 for his extremely stupid analysis of the Good Science for You video, Final Proof of Evolution Falsified. In the very beginning, he rattles off so many sideways logic arguments that we have to take each one and analyze it properly using pure logic and reason, something Potholer54 is not capable of concerning his precious beliefs in the fantasy of human evolution. First of all, he sidesteps in his usual fashion the fact that Good Science video only focuses on one type of fossilization. It is called fossilization by replacement. This is where there is no bone left. No organic substance is there to extract carbon-14 from because there is no carbon. Potholer54 starts out by talking about marine life and tries to create a diversion by his desperate talk on marine life fossils. I don't talk about marine life fossils, so why is he? The only reason is to sidestep the issue with as much diversion as he can muster. He is so slick that is why he seems credible, but his beliefs destroy all of his credibility. He talks about fossilization as if the process is extremely rare. If you had studied this as long as I have, you would realize that nobody knows if fossilization is rare or not. It is just a belief by people who are upset because they can't find any fossils to show evolution as being real, especially with incredibly stupid concept of human evolution that has absolutely no evidence in the physical world to back it up. There are only dead ends in all the fossil record that they believe are hominids, but have nothing to tie them to humans at all. Since there are only huge dead ends in the fossil record, they fill in the blanks with belief. And since there are no fossils that have any constant trail that would lead to the belief in evolution of mankind, they fill in these huge blanks with concepts that have no basis in science at all. There's absolutely no objective and absolute evidence that fossilization is rare as they believe. If you go on to all the charts on human evolution, all you see is huge gaps in these fossils with total extinction at the end of each of these so-called hominids. That means there is no continual chain of fossils to show or even suggest human evolution. They fill in these huge gaps in the fossil record where there are no fossils exist with one thing, and that is a belief in evolutionism, the religion of morons and pseudoscientists. This is the thing that they avoid like crazy because they're in love with this religion and want to make it real so badly that they forget to check in with reality once in a while. They forget that others who are far more intelligent than they are exist on this planet. The only thing they have is belief because there's absolutely no objective evidence for evolution. There is no evidence that this dating method is even science. When the bone is completely destroyed and becomes fossil, there is no evidence of the original creature there. No DNA, no tissue at all. What you have is the minerals that replace these bones. It is sort of a cast of the shape of the original bones, but no tissue. It is utter logical fallacy to assume that the matter that surrounds these rocks fossils is the same age as the original bones. Potholer neglects to tell you that all fossils which are replacement are dated this way. He talks about other types of fossilization as if that is what I'm actually talking about. I'm only talking about one type of fossilization, that is replacement. Replacement fossilization is the standard method used when there's no tissue left. You have no other way of dating this matter except to extract the minerals around it and assume that those minerals are the same age as these fossils. These people are so delusional that they'll take samples from 20 feet away or more and use that to date these fossils. They figure as long as it's on the same level, it must be the same date as the original fossils. This is utter logical fallacy. This belief is only fueled with the dumbass beliefs in evolutionism. Without this belief in pseudoscience, no one in their right mind would use such poor assumptions on the evidence. The only thing that dates these fossils is a belief in logical fallacies. It is idiotic to think that the minerals around a dead creature are the same age as the creature. In my video, I just make this clear how stupid that is. Let's listen to Potholer bury himself in delusions right in front of your eyes and ears. He starts out with, "Oh God." Is he praying to Darwin to help him overcome the truth about his dumbass religion called evolutionism? Then he goes on to say, flat out, that fossilization in land mammals is extremely rare. Then he pulls up some page from a book written by another flawed human who is supposed to be an expert. The funny thing is that all they have is nothing but opinions by experts as if they are the gods of all science and knowledge. These are totally fallible humans with delusional beliefs and convictions on those beliefs that interfere with pure logic. Beliefs destroy all credibility, completely and 100%. As soon as a human being takes a stance of belief on things that have no physical evidence, they have no credibility. If you are spouting off logical fallacies right and left, and the only thing you can use to back it up is some other moronic believer's opinions, that means you have no evidence and absolutely no scientific experiment can be found to show that fossilization is rare. This idea has never had one single experiment to prove it at all. The scientific method is completely disregarded in the religion of evolutionism. If Potholer54 has any scientific data from any experiment that proves beyond all doubt that fossilization is rare, I would love to see it. I do not accept opinions from anyone on any evidence. I must see it myself. If you accept the opinions from people with agendas like Potholer54, then you're just as delusional as they are. Opinions are like asses. Everybody has them, but they only produce human body waste. If you have a brain that's not sucked into this religion too deeply, you will quickly realize that every paper of the 200,000 plus papers on evolutionism in the bibliography is papers by other believers and their opinions to back up the opinions of the writer of any paper on the pseudoscience. If you go back and read any of the bibliography of these so-called scientific papers, all you see is the people whose opinions back up the writer. You will see another set of opinions to back them up. There's a whole genealogy of believers with their not credible opinions and nothing else. If there's no empirical obvious evidence to back up opinion, then it's just more delusional beliefs. One opinion after another is not evidence. If you don't believe me, go read all these papers and then go look in the bibliography and try to look up that paper. And you see that that paper is backed up nothing but anything but beliefs. It's just one chain of one belief after another, after another, after another, after another, with no empirical evidence to back up any of the belief. When I ask people for evidence and all they give me is opinions of believers on the evidence that is not even related to the subject, that is not science. The only thing that exists in evolutionism is opinions and assumptions. There is no absolute evidence of any creature ever changing body shape and evolving into an entirely new species with new DNA, new chromosome count, or an entirely new morphology. That means an entirely new body. Now back to how fossils are formed and the logic of fossilization. As a matter of fact, they can now fossilize wood in a lab in less than 1 hour. That does not prove that fossilization is rare. It shows it may be far more common than these morons of evolutionism would like to believe. There are no experiments that have objective and absolute evidence of any creature ever breaking the bonds of genetic stability to become a new species by evolution over any length of time. Here's the clue. If they tell you that a lizard evolved and the result is still a lizard, and you believe that is evolution, you are utterly brainwashed and indoctrinated. If it remains as a lizard, then it did not evolve. Normal adaptation is not evolution. The only thing that exists in evolutionism is opinions and assumptions. There is no absolute evidence of any creature ever changing body shape and evolving into an entirely new species with new DNA, new chromosome count, or an entirely new body. Now back to how fossils are formed and the logic of fossilization. As a matter of fact, they can now fossilize wood in a lab in less than 1 hour. That does not prove fossilization is rare. It shows it may be far more common than these morons of evolution would like to believe. There's no way to test to see if fossilization is rare because you have to have thousands of years of life to stick around and watch the bones become fossils. Unless you have superhuman ability to hang around for thousands of years to see how fossils form, you have no way to objectively test to see if fossilization is rare or not. All evolutionists have is belief. Because they need a cop-out desperately in order to fill in the gaps with the crap of pseudoscience ideas, things like absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. That is one of the most moronic statements I have ever heard used to project the belief of evolutionism. The absence of evidence is the absence of evidence, and you need not fill in the blanks with delusional beliefs. If there is no evidence, there is no evidence. Fossilization is rare is not even a scientific concept. If you can't test a scientific hypothesis, then it is to be immediately disregarded as nonsense.